All right, welcome back, watch fans. We've got an exciting episode for you today. We have one of our famous or infamous brutal watch reviews. Today we are reviewing the collection of a Bitcoin bro, a millennial. Are these millennials when they're in their 20s? Is that a Gen Z, Gen whatever, Gen Y? Who knows? So guy in his 20s, a Bitcoin bro in Dubai, and he's flexing his watch collection. This is a fascinating review. Actually, this is actually going to be quite interesting. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure to leave your comments below and join in on the chat. Hang on a second. Let me just pop in this over here. Let me do this over here. Let's do this right there. All right. So anybody that wants to join in now. So the collection, we're going to be rating on these criteria. Hang on a second. What are the criteria? Okay. So basically, the quality of the collection, photo creativity, that's not going to count so much here because we use that for the Instagram. Upside potential, okay, upside potential. Watch choices, overall collection quality, right? So those are the things we're going to be rating for. So keep an eye on this and let me know your thoughts. We're going to rate it, A to F. A to F, A obviously being the top grade. F for failure. Now, before we get into it, guys, make sure that you are getting our free weekly newsletter. The link is in the video description below. Again, look, the newsletter is amazing. We had an incredible issue today on special Rolex bezels. That's right, pyramid bezels. Have you ever seen a Rolex pyramid bezel or a bezel? As the peasants call it a bezel, the aristocrats call it a bezel. So anyway, the pyramid bezel is quite fascinating, and that is what's covered in today's email newsletter. Now, you don't know about this because you haven't received the newsletter. So, and you're not going to get it unless you get the newsletter. So look, anyway, guys, look, don't be a tomato can. Click the link in the video description below to get that free newsletter. And it's going to come to your inbox twice a week. And hang on a second, let me do just a quick intro here. All right, guys, so let's get into the collection here. Let's get into the collection. Let me just pull this up. Here we go. Okay, now let's see what this young gentleman has to say. So again, to give it some context, there's all these influencers, wannabe influencers in Dubai. I don't know what they're all doing in Dubai, but anyway. They're all putting out videos. They all have teams of videographers. I mean, it's as they say, unbelievable but true. So let's see what this guy has to say.
Because I must admit, when it comes to watches, I like to be a little different. So I have.
Okay, so we got some guy, some Eurotrash guy in Dubai. He's got a Goyard watch. It looks like a watch roll. Now, good color choice. I happen to have a green Goyard. Cigar, what do they call a cigar thing for cigars? Very good.
I have small wrists, so most of the time I wear 36 millimeters.
Good choice, okay.
I have a few 34 millimeters.
34, listen, okay, 34 millimeter is not acceptable. No, really, hard pass on 34 millimeter for Rolex, okay? If we're talking about a dress watch, maybe that's what he's talking about. If it's a dress watch, they used to have 31 millimeters, 32, it's okay. But for Rolex, no. Rolex has got to be 36
watches as well. So it's not going to be watches
for everyone.
If you're very, very big and you have huge arms, 34 might look a little weird on you. Okay. But I do think 36 millimeter and
let's get
so her wrist for a while, and then at one point, you incorporate it into your life, and you can make your own memories with it. So let's get started.
Okay.
These are 6 watches that I own.
By the way, horrible videography. I can't see anything. So, but let's do the best we can. Okay, let's do the best we can.
And that I've purchased over the past 6, 7, 8 years.
Okay.
I started buying watches in 2017. So
okay, so he's been at this for a while. So this is not like one of these COVID collectors, as we call them, these newbies like that. They just got into it, 2020, whatever, and all of a sudden they're experts. So we're talking about like these guys like the Tim Wrights, this guy OC, original OC, all those tomato cans from the Tim Wright channel. All these other. This guy's been at it for a while. Again, and again, he's old. I think this guy's like 26 or something. So that means he's been collecting since he's like 19, 18, 19. Pretty impressive. Pretty impressive.
So this is a 36 millimeter Rolex Datejust.
Okay, kind of a basic, very basic watch. And you got a two-tone. I think this is a two-tone. I can't tell from the photos here. I mean, the guy's lighting is horrible. He's got to get a new videographer. But this looks like a two-tone black dial. I'm not a fan of black dials, but the gold on the black, it's actually kind of cool. It's a cool vintage watch. By the way, I'm actually shocked. That this Bitcoin bro has, vintage watches, because he's in Dubai. It's all about flexing. It's all about the RMs. It's all about, the whole flex culture there. These Bitcoin bros, the RMs, the APs. You have these guys who I don't even know who these people are, but they come up on my YouTube feed. You got this guy, Carl Rundfeld, who's some Swedish, some other Eurotrash guy. Then you got some guy, Iman Gadzi or something. I don't even know. By the way, now this Carl Rundfeld, I think he's a Bitcoin bro also. Now, this guy, Iman Gadzi, I don't know what the fuck this guy does. I have no idea what he does. He's got some heavy hitter watches, but it's all new bullshit. It's all new bullshit stuff. Like, listen, this guy here, may have potential. This guy may have some potential. So let's take a look at the collection. We got vintage Rolex. Okay, always a good choice for starting with watches. Again, you can get into this game for $3,500. Good choice. You're not going to lose money. Your money is safe.
Scratched. I mean, I've been through a lot of stuff with this one.
Two-tone,
Rolex. I know where.
Looks like this is like a 70s piece. Very good choice. I got
that much anymore, because I feel like at this point my style changed a little, and I prefer just a little.
I gotta tell you something. That's actually really cool on the Oyster, the black. It's been worn. It's been worn down over the years, but it's got this really nice look. It's got this it's got this beautiful patina.
Bit different things, but I would never ever sell this one. This is a very, very dear piece to my heart. In theory, I don't want to sell any of my watches. I sometimes give some away, but this is definitely my first, and emotionally I'm very, very. So vintage watches become a little more popular, so they became a little more expensive, but I still think it's a great beginner's watch. The second watch we have here is another Rolex 36 millimeters in dual tone. Very simple move.
Oh shit! Now this is a man. This guy might be like this guy could be one of my illegitimate children. He's not a brother, because this guy's very young. Could be an illegitimate child I had. 26, very possible, very possible. Now a lot of two-tone. Look, this is all 70s, late 70s watches. Well, actually, in this case, this is a 60s watch. This is actually kind of rare. What is this? This is a wow. This is actually a cool watch. This is no date. It's a no date Oyster. By the way, look at the bezel. Look at the bezel. This is one of those more rare bezels. I forget what they call this one, but this is, you got this, I don't know, like called sun ray pattern, if you want to call it that. But it's actually goes on those rays, if you want to call it. They're all based on the hours. So there's 12 of those like rays there. It's really interesting. I mean, that pattern I think it's a beautiful pattern for the bezel. And it's two-tone, so it makes it pop. This is a beautiful watch, actually. This looks like a 60s. You get those early hands, the sword hands. I mean, this guy's got very sophisticated taste for a guy who's like 26 or something. So
nothing too fancy, but quite rare. You don't find these. I'm not sure what decade this one is. I don't think I've ever seen it, before. This is the only piece that I've seen so far. You have to like it. It's quite unique. I do like to wear it with a suit, with the leather strap.
You can get these again for under $5,000, I think. I think under $5,000, probably $4,000, something.
I think it's quite unique, but a beautiful piece. Now we change.
And by the way, on a strap, it's a good look. Would I wear it in a black leather strap? No. I think black leather. I think a black leather strap for a two-tone watch. Look, the thing is, you got a black dial, so that it does make it a little bit more formal. If it was a gold watch, it was full gold, I would do black. But look, you want something a little more versatile, I would go with like a chocolate, like a brown crocodile, something like that, or maybe, I don't know. I'm not sure what I would do, but black I think is a little too extreme for that. So, but otherwise, great watch.
Brands. This is a squared Piaget. Also something that you don't see on the wrist that much. I just loved it.
Yeah. Again, this is a 70s Piaget. I think this is an onyx dial, if I'm not mistaken. Could be an onyx dial. Great watch. Now, these actually have been picking up in price lately. Again, I'm actually surprised that this is a 26-year-old guy buying these watches. I mean, this is because this is more of an advanced taste, to be honest with you. Especially Piaget. I mean, like, look, most 20-year-olds, whatever, 20-somethings, they don't know about Piaget. I mean, they just know about Rolex. They know about whatever flex brands that they see other tomato cans on YouTube flexing. So this is actually pretty impressive. By the way, on the wrist, we got the hang on. We got there we go. The Royal Oak, the owl, two-tone. That's right. Two-tone owl. We got the two-tone owl. Unbelievable but true. That's the date moon phase, my friends. Let's keep going with this collection here. Let's see here. By the way, what do you think? Leave your comments below. All right, let's keep rolling with the video. Let's see. By the way, the prices are picking up on these. Good
design of it. It's very, very thin, very thin.
Yeah.
This is a conversation starter. If you come in a well-tailored suit and you have a Piaget vintage watch, I think it's a very cool thing to have.
What is this thing with this conversation starter? Like, why do people? What is a fucking conversation? Like, I see this guy Kevin O'Leary. He keeps using that term. Like, I mean, what do I want to start conversations with weirdos? I mean, I don't know. What is that? Are these guys lonely? I don't know what it's about. But yeah, no, this is a great dress watch. Really, it's very elegant. Great watch.
Also not expensive, a couple €1,000.
Yeah.
So, if you like
under
watches and something more
grand.
unique, I think this is definitely a piece that you could like. The fourth watch we have here is, again, a 36mm Rolex Day.
This guy is a little too heavy in the Rolex. He's got a little, this collection right now, I can tell it's a little bit unbalanced. And if this guy's a Bitcoin bro, if he understands about it, risk management, you got a little too much exposure to the Rolex.
Unique
Vintage Rolex 36. They just a little too heavy.
The part about this one is the wristband. So the wristband is full gold.
Okay, so the bracelet, I think it's one of those like weird bracelets that they did, like what do they call that? It's like a weird bracelet, and they're really, I think they're actually disgusting, these bracelets. It's like a funky bracelet. It almost looks like those integrated bracelets that like Patek and AP and other brands had in the 60s and 70s. Rolex did away for this for a good reason. It's just weird. They're actually expensive because they're rare, but they're weird
and very, very rare. So I generally just bought the watch because of the wristband that is attached.
And it's ugly.
You could take it off, but I think the wristband itself is
okay. So wristband, so it's a bracelet. Okay, whatever. The watch. And again, by the way, notice this is another one of these funky bezels, the funky bezel. So this guy's getting some, like, he's going into some real exotica here, real exotica in the Rolex world. I mean, again, I'm actually shocked that this is like a guy in his 20s, because this is like the type of collection for, a more sophisticated collector, somebody who's, been in the hobby, as they call it, in the collecting hobby, in the watch hobby for at least 10 years, right? You got this, what do they call this bezel? This is it's not a Florentine. It is, they got different names for these, but it is kind of a rare thing. These are actually pricey. This could be like over 10 grand. I mean, you know, relatively speaking, for it's gold, right? So it could be 12, 14 grand. Ugly as hell. I would get rid of it. Seriously, it's just ugly. But you know what? You know, it's just ugly. What can I tell you? I don't like it.
I want to tell you guys about is this 36 millimeter Rolex Day-Date.
Oh, is that Day-Date?
Champagne
Okay.
dial. Beautiful, beautiful piece that I really like to wear. This one I got a year and a half ago, I think.
Champagne
Usually
dial.
I buy watches whenever something great happens in my life, either in terms of financial success or any kind of
Champagne
personal
dial.
achievement. And I think in general, this is something that also a younger crowd should kind of like get used to or start to implement. Whenever you reach a certain milestone that you've been working very hard towards you can reward yourself with a watch.
Okay.
And in this case, it was this full gold 36 millimeter Rolex with a champagne dial that I got myself. I still wear it a lot. It's a beautiful piece.
How about a close?
Where
where did he find this videographer? There's no close up. I mean, with this
specific memories tied to watches, I think that's a very cool way to look back later.
Anyway, look, champagne dial. That is now this guy. He's I think he's, I don't know, this guy French or something, German, French, but I'm sure he speaks French. So this is as the Stade guy would say, à la poubelle, à la poubelle. Okay, so Bitcoin Bro, Tradinglord, if you're watching this, à la poubelle. Day-date champagne dial is a hard pass. That is a hard pass. Yeah, unless it's a linen dial, it's a hard pass. It's just too much of a. It's just too much. It's got too much of an old man look. And also too much Rolex already. He's already got too heavy in the Rolex.
And be like, this is the one that I purchased when this and this and this happened, and this is the one that I purchased when this and this happened. So I really like this watch. Quite wear it a lot still, but there's a few that I wear a little more these days. Okay. For example, this one. For the longest time, this was my banger piece of the collection. This is as well a 36 millimeters.
Oh, Day-date.
Rolex Day-date with a very, very
horrible videography. Okay, we can't see any close-ups. So this is the Day-date with the what is it called? The the green doll, which has got the kind of like the fume. No, what do they call it? They call it the a vignette. Vignette. I think it's a vignette dial, if I'm not mistaken. Vignette with diamonds. You know, these little baby diamonds, as I like to call them, these little baby diamonds. They look really tacky. They look tacky. The green it's an okay color. You know, it's a kind of it's kind of collectible, but you know, the baby diamonds, they really ruin it for me. So this is why these go for like 20 grand or so.
Very special dial. It's a factory diamond.
Yeah, it's got the vignette. Yeah, the baby diamonds. Actually, you know, in person it's not as bad. It's just that those little diamonds, they just look a little too like, you know, like somebody was just cutting corners.
Dark green dial, in my opinion, an absolute stunning piece. In the beginning, I wasn't sure if I should wear it, but then after a while, you know, I just kind of understood holding watches without wearing them is, you know, it kind of defeats the purpose of it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, like, you got to wear the watches. If you're not wearing them, like, what's the point, right? I mean, listen, sometimes you have stuff which you might wear less because it is more of a, you know, collector type of thing. Baron Red, based on what? I don't know. It's not with the grandparents. Well, actually, you know, could be. I have no idea. Hop on, by the way. We got the link here. We got the link for the Baron. Yeah. So this, what do we got here? We got.
But if you have something beautiful that you work towards to, why not show it off? The amount of craftsmanship and just details.
Well, there's no craft. Rolex. Okay, he's wrong about that. There's no craftsmanship when it comes. Rolex is basically a mass production watch.
Of watches, they need to be shown, in my opinion. So yeah, this is up to date. Still one of my most favorite watches. A green factory.
Okay,
there's a few reasons why. They're very, very slim. They're very.
Okay, hang on a second. Okay, hang on. We got the Baron in the house. Is he there? Wait, what happened? Is he there? We got shit. Baron, are you there?
Yes. Hey, Colonel. How you doing?
Oh, fantastic. Welcome aboard. What do you think so far of this collection?
So I just hopped on when he was showing off the Piaget. So I guess that was like 2 watches ago. So I've only seen that, and then
Okay.
he showed off the Rolex.
Okay. I'm gonna. You know what I'm gonna do for you? I'm going to rewind very quickly. I'm gonna rewind very quickly, just for the sake of. Okay, so let me just type 5:33. So I'm gonna rewind real quickly. So he's got some vintage, very heavy in the vintage Rolex, like 60s, 70s. Relatively. I would say almost. I don't know if I would use the word basic, but like accessible stuff. That's like you've seen this before, right? Two-tone black dial oyster bracelet, which is nice
with
watch,
one.
right?
It's my first Rolex. I don't wear it that much anymore.
And you can get these cheap.
My watches were a little cheaper, so they became a little more. Second watch we have here is another Rolex 36 millimeters in dual-tone. Very simple movement.
So you got another two-tone. But this is the this is what I forgot the name of the bezel, but you get our weekly. The newsletter, right? You get the Watch Reporter newsletter, of course. I know you get this in your email box.
Yes.
And today we had a special issue. We had one about the exotic bezels, Rolex bezels.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now on my phone. Yeah, I see like.
Now, by the way, the article there's a whole. We just talked about a couple of pyramid bezels, but. We went down a little bit about the rabbit hole, and there was actually a guy who wrote a whole article on this, some guy from Reddit, and he wrote a whole article with a lot of data, and we have a link to that. It's really incredible. Anybody who's a real Rolex collector should check it out, and the only way to get it is if you subscribe to our weekly newsletter, and the link is in the video description below. That's right, the Watch Reporter newsletter, absolutely free in your email box. Now, this is a cool watch. Again, I think it's like 60s. You got the sword hands. Black dial. No date, which I like. So he's got that so far. Wait, but then he's got some funky ones. Wait till you see this. Hang on a second. Oh, he's got the Piaget, right? Now, there was one, I think we missed a certain Rolex. I think we missed one. There's one that comes on like a mesh bracelet. It's like one of those weird 70s ones, which I really hate the bracelets on those. Hang on. Did you see? I think you may have joined in that, right? Did you see that? Here we go. This one here. You see this?
Yep.
It's got kind of an interesting bezel, although not my favorite. This is not one of my favorite ones. But again, this is covered in that article that came out today. So, the bracelet is. And again, these are like probably 14, 12, could be like 12 grand, 14 grand for these, something like that. So, pricey, relatively speaking. I mean, for an ugly watch, it's pricey. He's got the date 36. Okay, so, and then he's got the Goyard box. Hang on, he's going to open it up. Here we go. What do you think so far, by the way?
It's okay. So you said he's 26?
I think he's in his 20s. I mean, I don't know. I think he's in his 20s. I think I saw something. He's like in his 20s. He looks like he's in his 20s, right? Probably.
Yeah. So if he is a new collector, I could totally see the collection that he does have, because he's looking to get something that is like a known brand, and he's looking for something that kind of like catches his eye. Because I'm thinking back when I first started getting into watches and I was collecting. Like that's probably the type of stuff I would have gotten, if I had the funds for it. Just because it's just something it's like you just haven't seen before, and then you have it until the novelty wears off, and you get rid of it.
Yeah. So he's got I don't know if he's like a grifter or one of these YouTube scammers. So he's a Bitcoin guy in Dubai. The channel I just randomly just popped up on my thing. I think it's a relatively new channel. And he's got a videographer already. So, I saw one of his videos, I think like an introduction video. He's got like a Ferrari. He's in Dubai. I watched a couple minutes of it. I think he's like from Luxembourg. I think his father was an investment banker, right? So, he's sort of like a well-to-do family, European, so it's sort of like, I don't want to say the word, could be like, kind of semi-old money, European investment. Because again, in Europe, investment banking is usually, it's like almost generational. It's not like in the U.S. Like you could, come off the banana boat. Next thing you know, you're working at Goldman Sachs. In Europe, it's a little more, it's a little more of a, especially Luxembourg. Who the fuck knows where the fuck is Luxembourg anyway? I don't even know what that is. But no, so the guy's got like kind of a sophisticated taste, right? And but it's weird. Again, I find it very weird that he's in Dubai, which is like flex central, and he wears these vintage watches instead of like the flashy, like the Richard Mille, the AP, all the bling, So it's actually, you got to give the guy a lot of credit, right? He does need a better videographer.
Right. Yeah. So Colonel, I got two thoughts on that. So the first one is, if he's trying to build up a YouTube following for whatever reason, right? He can't show off watches that are kind of like I don't want to say like a dime a dozen, but that everyone has on YouTube. So he's got to show off pieces that are kind of like, they're interesting and things that you really haven't seen. But at the same time, from brands that like, okay, no, this is like a serious watch. So he's got that. Or alternatively, if you recall, when we looked at, I forget his name. What was the rest of him again? The Arnault kid, the 26-year-old. Was it Jean?
Oh, Arnault, yeah.
Yeah. So if you remember when we looked at his collection, he didn't really have any like big heavy hitters. For someone like him, he could get whatever he wanted.
He could buy the company.
He just kind of had.
Well, literally, he could literally buy the company. He could literally buy Audemars Piguet tomorrow.
Yeah. So but like his watches that he has, they're nice watches, but they're not something that's kind of like outside the realm of someone that has like some money that they could get. I think the most expensive one he has is probably like a Gerald Genta.
Yeah, by the way, that's absolutely fine. Like, I think there's an epidemic of people who like they look at watches or cars or these like status symbols as a way to kind of, to flex like something that they're really not, or to go, it's a little bit. I don't think there's a need for like ridiculous watches or whatever. I find that generally, actually, no, I should say no. Generally, I think generally, I don't know if I can make a statement, but look, I think watches are general. Yeah, look, the thing is, a watch at the end of the day, really, I think there's two schools of thought on watches. On one school of thought, you got these like gearheads, guys who are just into horology. They're like, they want like weird, complicated, they just want like weird stuff. They want like the Langen because they want to look at the back of the, they want to look at movements, right? They're really into movements, right? Which is a real minority. I think that's maybe 5% of the market, maybe 2%. And then, but most of the market really is people who wear it as, it's interesting, whatever. But it's really like it's going to sound shallow, but it's a fashion thing. It's a style thing, right? Like, you like the watch, you like the way it looks. But you know that the movement is quality, but you really don't know, or you don't really care, about all the details of it, right? So it's all about really the style, the fashion, the style of it. And again, I hate talking about fashion because it just sounds so shallow, but that's what it comes down to. That's what the world is, right? Art is fashion, right? Watches are basically mechanical art. So where am I going with this? I think I lost my train of thought, but so it's because it is a kind of a style thing. I think people who have style are going to go with more vintage, more interesting things, whereas guys who want to flex, who really are very shallow, who don't know anything, they're going to go with more like the so-called heavy hitters, like stuff that's recognizable. Like, I don't know, like a 40 millimeter date, AP, Royal Oak. That's, stuff that's very obvious, new stuff. Because that's all they really, they just want to impress other people. This guy does not want to impress. I don't think this guy is trying to impress anybody. Like, I don't think that's the case. But who the fuck? I don't know why he's doing the video. I don't know what the game plan is. I don't know I don't really care. But it's interesting. Let's watch.
It's really, really small. So wearing 34 millimeter pieces can, in my opinion, still look very, very, very good.
Oh shit!
So we have two interesting pieces here. We have two 34 millimeter vintage.
By the way, this is a very controversial area. 34 millimeter Royal Oaks. They do wear bigger. They probably wear like a 36. But I know there's some collectors into it. It is a little bit of a weird. I don't think I'd wear a 34 millimeter, to be honest. And I have a small wrist. I mean, actually, my wrist is the size of this guy's wrist. It's 30
Royal Oak model.
34 is a little. It's a little bit. I don't know. It's a little small.
From Audemars Piguet. This one is made out of tantalum, which is a very
two-tone. Have you noticed he's got a lot of two-tone here? He's got the two-tone. Oh, this is a good shape. Look at this. Now, I don't know if this was polished. It looks a little too crisp. It looks a little too crisp. So it's tantalum, which I find tantalum weird. Like it's some sort of metal. Like it looks a little gray. It's a weird. I'm not into the tantalum thing.
Very rare substance, very rare material, and this one is full gold.
Okay, so no date. It looks a little small. When you go with the Royal Oak, part of the thing is you want to see that tapisserie dial.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks best like up to about 39 millimeter. It looks good. Beyond that, it's too big, and below 37, it gets small.
So these are the two watches that I wear the most these days. It's kind of like
when it's full gold, though. I mean, like full gold wears a little bit bigger, and you know, I guess you can show off more of the bracelets. So I don't know. Maybe depending on how it looks on his wrist, he might be able to pull off 34 in the full gold.
You know what? It's a good point. It's a good point. It is a good point, actually. A very, very valid point, especially like for a gold watch or full gold watch. It's a lot of bling, the full gold, especially Royal Oak. The bracelet's got a lot of bling. So 34 is, again, there's a bunch of collectors out there, like serious collectors, who do have 34. I mean, and they're not buying it because it's a compromise, as a certain Bogan Brisbane would say. It's not a compromise. It's just, they like the look or whatever. It's a look.
Gold, I think.
And I also want to bring up, like, there's a bunch of guys wearing the Cartier tanks, right? And then they don't wear the larger ones. They wear the traditional style. And then they always say, like, oh, look at Ali. Back when he took that famous photo of him wearing a tank in, like, was it the 60s or something like that? That's always the argument. Is, oh, it's good enough for Ali. It's good enough for you. And I was like, yeah, but that was like, how long ago? Styles change.
No. Listen, these things they come and go. We got Baron one. I don't know how do you pronounce this? Whatever this is, but we got an aristocrat in the house. So yeah, let's hang on. So let me just roll this thing over here. All right. So by the way, we're going to rate the collection on quality of the collection. Now we can't say photo creativity because it's not the photos. Upside potential, watch choices. Overall collection quality. Okay. We had let's see. Okay, so yeah, it's not so bad. I wouldn't buy it. I wouldn't buy 34 millimeter Royal Oak. It's a little too small for me. I just think they look a little bit. It's about the proportions. The proportions of the dial. I don't know. They just look a little small. But okay, let's keep rolling.
To find these kinds of pieces, I try to repurchase them. So I'm sourcing a second one of this.
Oh, this is funny. So basically, the guy he's basically buying a double of each watch, so that he can wear it, and if one breaks down or whatever, he's got the other one. He's got a spare, which is interesting, actually.
Exact model, just because I feel like I'm going to wear them.
Oh yeah, see, that's the good bracelet. That's the good clasp. Actually, that's the good one.
So much, and because they're not, they're not going to be produced anymore. So it might sound a little selfish, but the more I have of these, the better for me, because I know that I will wear these for the rest of my days.
Okay, so this is good.
Yeah, and then same model, just in tantalum, which is this dark gray material.
Oh, he's got the date. There's no tapisserie here. That's weird.
Yeah, absolutely.
Flat dial. I've never seen that before, actually.
phenomenal piece. You barely see anyone rocking these. Whenever I wear them, I get so many compliments because they're extremely, extremely thin. So people, of course, recognize it because of the AP bracelet, but then they're a little intrigued. Is this a
By the way, listen, it's actually an interesting point. So here's my kind of thought on it, right? Like, look, I always say, look, it's these people who talk about flexing this or that. The problem, if you're in a place like Dubai, let's say, right, where there's like huge money and also very flashy, right? It's not like people are hiding their watches like they're in London. People, there, everybody shows it off, right? So the thing in that place is that basically you can't win you really can't win. There's always going to be somebody who's going to have a more impressive watch than you, right? You go to a Starbucks. I don't know if they have Starbucks, but whatever. Like you go to a Starbucks, let's say, right? I guarantee you that you're in there with your your $300,000 AP Royal Oak Tourbillon Gold. The guy next to you ordering his his basic bitch mochaccino, whatever, he's gonna have like a $1 million Richard Mille or something else crazy, right? Because that's the way it is. There's always gonna be somebody with something better. It's like as somebody told me once years back, like you can't impress anybody with cars in LA, right? Because you're in Beverly Hills, you pull up with your whatever it is, your $300,000 Lambo. The next guy pulls up with a $2 million Bugatti, right? There's always going to be somebody with a better car. You're really not going to. So it's almost like you want to, because of that, you really want to kind of go in the opposite direction. You want to be like a contrarian, right? Because if you're going to have, everybody else is going to have these like crazy, brand new modern flex watches, as I would call them. You kind of want to go vintage stuff that's more obscure, more unique, that is like, nobody's going to see. You know what I mean? Like nobody's going to see these watches in Dubai. I guarantee you, which is actually smart. The stuff that this guy is showing off, I guarantee you're not going to see anybody with those watches in Dubai. You're going to see, every type of new day date, every type of new, Patek, whatever. Those vintage watches you're not going to see in Dubai. So it's actually smart. He's basically winning the watch game, right?
Yeah. And just real quick, going back to him.
That's smart. I mean, okay. I actually have the same philosophy. I don't know if I'm trying to flatter myself, but I'm completely on board with everything this guy's saying, except I don't like the mesh, that stupid mesh. Which no, it's a collectible watch. I just find it repulsive, but whatever. Hang on a second.
Okay.
Let's keep rolling.
No, but you have a comparable watch. Isn't one of your Pateks comes on the that one size bracelet?
Okay. Oh, come on. Come on. No, okay. No, the big difference. So the mesh bracelet on the Patek, it's kind of integrated, and it's, I don't know how to explain, but on Rolex, the problem with that bracelet, on Rolex the bracelets, they kind of clip on. You know what I'm saying? They kind of clip on with a they have that little. So that's the way that one is.
It bites into the material. Yeah.
You can take it off, but the problem with the old Rolexes, and this is the thing I hate about Rolex, they were doing very low quality stuff up until like maybe 10 years ago, right? I think everybody's willing to admit very cheap quality tomato can material, tomato can metals, stamped metals, and those what do you call that piece that connects to the basically to the case, between the bracelet and the case, that like
the end link?
Yeah, the thing that connect. Yeah, so their end links always kind of gap a little bit. You know what I'm talking about? They gap on the older Rolexes. Yes. They gap from the stretching. You get into that little gap, which it looks so cheap. You just feel so cheap and dirty. Just so it's nasty. That gap. I mean, it's like you imagine like you're buying a Ferrari and it's got a gap in the where the doors,
one of the panels. Yeah, in the hood.
Gaps. Bad panel gaps. I mean, that's what that is. It's It's a panel gap. It's horrible, and that watch, I really don't like that. So one of the things the advantage of putting these Rolexes on a strap is you're not going to get it. But it's the panel gap on Rolex is horrible. So, but let's keep rolling.
You know, what is this? I've never seen
and,
before.
and just
So
real
in my
quick,
opinion,
just
blocking stuff
going
like this,
back.
Yep.
So I just wanted to just make a quick comment about him having, you know, more than one of the same watch. That's actually, I think that's actually smart to do that for, you know, for parts, only because yesterday on Reddit I saw a bill for a restoration on a vintage Vacheron, and it was like the movement service was $9,000. To redo the dial was like $4,000 something. It was crazy. And then just looking at it, I was like, you just buy a new watch for this money.
Yeah.
So in his case, it might make more sense, you know, to have a backup watch for parts and whatever than to go back and, you know, send it in for restoration.
You know, it's funny. This it reminds me of like an old business partner I had. This guy was like an older guy. He was in his 60s or something, and I remember he would like buy like what the fuck? He would buy 2 pairs of the same, or a couple pairs of the same like pants or whatever from Brooks Brothers. You know, back in the night. I said, "Why are you buying the same thing?" He says, "Oh, because they're gonna stop. They're gonna stop making it. I like it. I want to have. I like this. Because I know, because you know that's what these companies do. As soon as they have something, they stop making it, right? So if you like it, and I thought the guy was crazy, but you know now I realize, you know what? There's a bunch of things that I probably should have gotten multiples of because it was a good product, and you know it's they don't make it anymore. And where are you going to get it?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I could see it. It's smart. It's interesting. The thing I don't like is he's got a little too much of the same. There's a little bit of redundancy here. It's not like horrible in a way because there's enough. There's a little bit of redundancy. You got 2 day dates. Oh, hang on. We'll go through the review in just a second. But let's finish off here.
Is an absolute phenomenal conversation starter, and it shows that you care about watches a little more than just on the surface level. You know, everyone can just go to Rolex, go whatever, and just buy, you know, them.
Oh yeah, by the way, that's a good point, right? So the thing with these vintage watches, I think he's articulating better is, look, any asshole, like literally any scumbag piece of shit can go into Rolex or AP and, you know, get a new watch, or in the gray market, right? Like anybody, right? It's just money, right? But when it comes to more of the vintage stuff, there you got to have some taste, you got to have some discernment, you got to have some knowledge. So it kind of separates, you know, it separates them from the tomato cans in the market. I agree with that.
The most recent models, I think putting a little more thought into what you wear on your wrist is a kind of like a very classic and stylish act, and I think more people should try to do it. I know I can already see the comments, people saying, you know, the guy flexing his watches here and there. First of all, I could purchase much more, you know, expensive watches and, you know, try to show off your wealth or whatever. This is not about this. This is about, first of all, telling people that you can diversify your money into also.
We're talking about investment. Yeah. Hard assets. Hang on.
Alternative investments like watches. Some of these pieces went up in price quite significantly because I've been very early on, you know, attracted to the vintage wave that is kind of like happening right now. And second of all,
with the vintage stuff, I mean, it actually has been going on for a while, but you know, and we've talked about this, you know, it is getting, I think people are getting more, you know, they're looking more into the, you know, the side roads of the watch world. You know, I think that people who are into watches now, the serious collectors, they're going into the side roads away, you know, like either independent brands, vintage, or, you know, more interesting stuff. By the way, after this, we're going to do a live stream. I don't know if you have time, but I'm going to be talking about Artisans de Genève. That's coming up at 6:30, so in 16 minutes. And that really speaks to this kind of trend in a way. Artisans de Genève. It's going to be very interesting.
Again, it's so important for you to just try to find ways to put these milestones that you have in your head and then kind of like incorporate a physical item to them if you feel like it. In my case, whenever something great in my life happens, whenever I achieve something that I've been working towards to, I get myself a one.
Okay, good idea. You know, I'll tell you it sounds shallow, but actually psychologically it's a very important thing because you know, let's say you're just I don't know, whatever it is you're doing. Let's you're working on something. You're making more money, but it's very abstract. You know, money or those things are abstract, right? Let's say so this guy's trading Bitcoin, right? So you know, I don't know. Let's say he starts with 10 grand, he makes 100 grand, then he makes $1 million. What it becomes very abstract. But so there's no real difference. You don't really feel anything different, right? But when you reward yourself every milestone, let's say, I don't know, every time the guy makes, I don't know, let's just say $1 million, whatever it is, right? You buy yourself a watch or something, or to mark that, well, it makes that milestone more concrete. So now all of a sudden you realize, okay, so this kind of, there's substance to it. It's not just abstract. I don't know if that makes sense, but I don't know.
And if your biggest issue is, oh, this guy has 18 watches and he can only wear one at a time, if that's your biggest issue, then, so be it. It's none of my concerns. So in terms of investing, this counts definitely as an alternative investment. Not every watch is going to turn out to be a great investment.
Yes. Okay.
But I think if you can compensate some of the value depreciation of some of these watches while having so much fun wearing them, I think that's a great deal for me. I will continue to buy more watches if I like them.
Okay. Anyway, let's recap, Baron. So let's time to rate the collection. Okay, so what are we doing? We're saying overall. What do we say? We're saying quality of the overall collection. How would you on an A to F? A to F. How would you rate it?
I'm gonna give him a B. Because it's just it was not a boring collection, right? So there's a couple of pieces that you didn't like, but I thought it was kind of like I don't mind watching it. It's not something I look at and be like, oh, that I've seen that 1 million times already.
I'm not bored either. No, it's not boring. It's like there's a couple pieces like, okay, whatever, like, okay, it's not boring. There's a couple of unusual pieces like that. Actually, a lot of the stuff is kind of unusual, especially in the context of who the collector is. You know what I mean? It's like I don't expect this, from a guy in his 20s. It's like so it's unusual.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not boring. The stuff is very different. I mean, the only real like things that really to me bring the collection down is the day-date champagne dial. But you know what? Look, maybe I'll give him a little bit of a slack because look, everybody's got to get that day-date 36. They got to get out of their system at one point or another. And the champagne dial, and we didn't see a close-up, but that is a classic. The champagne dial really is a classic. So maybe that's what he was thinking. And the problem with that, look, the problem with wearing a 36 millimeter day-date, the problem is people are going to think that, you're trying to flex or like you can't afford a new 40 million. It's just, that's what that watch, I think most people, that's what they think when they see that watch. They're like, oh shit, this guy's like, especially if they wear it on a bracelet, right? Because that means that they're trying to show it off as a president or as a Rolex president, right? If you're wearing a 36 millimeter Rolex on the bracelet, the president, most people will rightly assume that you're trying to pass yourself off as having this Rolex, like trying to flex this, basically a cheap watch. I mean, it is. In the scheme of things, it's like what is it? It's a $10,000 watch, right? At the lower end. So that's why I kind of wear it on a strap because I think it's a good almost beater watch in a way. It's got versatility on a strap. It's got versatility. It's kind of a dress watch. Like it can take a beating. There's no issues with it. It looks nice, but it's not special. And then he's got that weird tomato can bracelet date, which I also kind of you got to give him a little bit of slack because everybody's entitled to like one weird watch, which is like you don't understand it, but it works for them. Like I got some weird watch. I got one or two watches which are I probably shouldn't have maybe but so but it's only one or two. It's not like half of it, you know what I mean? It's okay. You got to take risks. That's what it is. So it's okay.
But Colonel, when you first started collecting, right, like what percentage of your collection was consisted of weird watches?
Listen, first of all, I was not a collector. I mean, I was never like a collector. I mean, like, okay, my first watch, my first like watches that I wore like I had like swatches. You know, I had a couple swatches, maybe two, maybe like one or two. It was just a watch. It was basically, you know, like, hey, it looks cool. I mean, like, you know, for what it is, at $40, whatever it was, you know, it's like, or the automatic ones when they can, you know, it's kind of like. And by the way, this is like in the early 90s or whatever, like that was a thing. Like there was a lot of, you know, guys. I mean, I look, the truth is I really would have wanted a Rolex, right? But I couldn't afford the Rolex. And, you know, I saw that there was like, you know, heavy hitters wearing the swatch because, you know, in the 90s, it was kind of like that sort of move away from the ostentation of the 80s. And like, you know, Johnny Agnelli and what is it, Charles Saatchi, you know, these guys were all like, you know, I don't know about, you know, billionaires or whatever, but they all were wearing swatches, right? It was kind of like a reaction, or what is it? The counter reformation, or counter reformation of the ostentation of the 80s. So I think, hey, you know what? I can get away. If these guys are wearing a swatch, I could wear a swatch. But my first real, you know, like watch was basically I had a Rolex, you know, a day, what do you call it? The Datejust, you know, steel. And a what do you call it? And I basically got a package deal. I got that, and I got a Patek Calatrava, you know, the hobnail dial, like the one that Jack Welch from GE had, the same exact watch. And I paid $6,000 for the pair. You know, that was my collection. That's all I had. I didn't have anything else. And then then after that, I got the President, you know, the Bark, which I still have to this day. So, but those, I didn't have any. That was it. I had 3 watches, and then I got rid of it. So I didn't really have weird watches. The only time I got a weird watch was recently. Only now I have, you know, because now, I mean, I don't want to call myself a collect. I mean, like I hate that word, but you know, like basically I have in the portfolio, let's say, I have a few weird watches. I have like one or two weird watches. So yeah, I don't know. So anyway, I agree with you. I'd give the collection a B. I give it a B because it's interesting. You know, by the way, it's relatively accessible. Like, you know, all these watches, and most of these watches are pretty accessible for, you know, the average collector, right? Like most of the stuff here is under $10,000. The Datejusts are, you know, $4,000 watches basically.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think that the APs might be. I don't know what the prices may have picked up on those. Those I think are under 20. I don't know. They're like whatever. But the date with the green one is like a $20,000 watch, which is, you know, it's pricey, but you know, it's not. These are not like crazy whatever. It's okay. I mean, he's got some interesting stuff. The photo creativity we can't rate, but the video quality is horrible because we didn't get any close-ups. It's very dark. Watch choice. Okay. So watch choice. Okay, let's talk about upside potential. Upside potential. So investment upside. I would give this an A for that because he probably got them, you know, he definitely shopped around. This guy's definitely, I don't think he's, you know, he's just buying retail, right? And all those watches, I don't see any of those dropping in price from here. I don't see any of them dropping in price. They're all basically going to be ticking up. They might be a little slow. They might be a little bit flat. Like the AP, you know, that might be a little bit, you know, those might be dead money a little bit. But, you know, I think these watches are actually, you know, if you look from an investment standpoint, on average, that whole you know, book is going to be, you know, it'll compound 5% a year plus, which is, you know, like T-bills basically, and you could use it. So it's good. It's good. I give it a I shouldn't say an A, but a B plus. A B plus.
Yeah.
It's just solid stuff. It's not like high risk stuff. None of it is high risk.
Yeah, because I was going to say, you know, aren't you going to dock him for having, you know, the 34 millimeters, which might be hard to move?
You know, Archie's a moron. You know, I did a video before, like on the live stream. Like, you know, like everybody who's in the Archie universe ends up with shitter watches. I mean, they all get always the wrong example of the wrong watch. you know, the guy, look, I said this before, is the guy basically, he's really just into like brand names, luxuries, stupid shit like, Mont Blanc pens, Louis Vuitton lug. That's what he got. That was his thing. Like, he doesn't know anything about watch. I mean, he knows now like the basics, but he's not really a watch. He really is not a watch guy. He says but he knows things, but he really does not understand market or trends. He has zero understanding of trends. The smaller Royal Oaks have actually been on the move in the last like 3-4 years. Those things have actually been increasing. I mean, you couldn't give those away, 10 years ago. In the last, let's call it 5 years, they've actually been becoming more and more desirable. Those actually, they're good. It's just, they are a little bit, again, it is going to be a little bit of a more niche thing, but then again, everything he has is niche. He doesn't have any mainstream watches except for the day-date champagne dial. That's the only mainstream watch he has.
Yeah.
Because like any moron would buy that watch. The green dial with the diamonds, that one is a little more niche. Okay. Overall, so upside potential. Watch choices, I think we kind of covered it. Yeah. He's got interesting stuff. I would say this is overall, it's a B. This collection is a B.
Yeah. I agree.
And I think it's a good example. I think it's a good, like overall, like interesting stuff. It's like, it's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how it evolves. Look, like yesterday, I think I did a review of a guy. I don't know if you saw the video with, he had like these independent, like real high end, very high end, okay, disappeared. Okay. So very high end independent brands, and, like MB&F, Greubel, Force, all that stuff. And, but he also had like a lot of kind of very expensive, but very boring Pateks, right? I was like, like this guy, this guy's like a $2 million collection. Like he should have had, Baron, you there?
Yep. I hit the wrong button on my phone and it kicked me out of StreamYard.
Oh, okay. No, so I was saying, look, like yesterday we did a review. A guy had like a $2 million plus collection with heavy hitters, independent brands. But I think this guy's collection is actually more interesting. This kind of cheaper, more basic collection is actually more interesting in a way than the heavy hitter collection. It's sort of like there is a little bit of redundant. Is there redundancy here? There is a little bit of redundancy. Yeah, the champagne doll they did has to go. That's got to go. That's like, that really has to go. You can't have two day dates, two yellow gold day dates. That's actually that's breaking a rule. That's actually, yeah. I mean, especially day dates. Come on, those are like mass produced basic watches. There's no shortage of those. Like, don't tell me that you need to have a backup day date, in case, you don't need that. It's garbage. Really, it's garbage.
Yeah.
You should get rid of the champagne.
Okay, Colonel. So I will comment that, like, so you keep shitting on the champagne dial day dates, and I'm also not a fan of them, but this is like I don't know. This is at least the third one that we've seen, right? Because I think the first one I'm seeing is I forget, but one of the punters has one. He came on camera and then he showed off his champagne dial day date 36.
Yeah, it's garbage.
If you call,
I said, I told him it was garbage. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Wait, there's two guys. Wait, hold on, Baron. There's two guys. There's two guys that we know of. At least two guys. No, there's actually three. And what do they all have in common? They're all part of the Archie luxury universe. So all the bad taste of Archie rubs off on them. You have that guy Uzi who's got the basic day date champagne doll, which he thinks is amazing. Well, look, you got to give the guy a little slack because he just started, whatever, and like he doesn't understand. He doesn't get it really. Like he think whatever. Then you have that other guy who thinks he's like really clever. Is the guy Mech or something? That guy should know better. He should know better because I think he's been in the watch thing for a while. That guy should know better. And then you got JJ with a 40 millimeter day date 40 with a champagne dial, which that is a sin. That's a cardinal sin. A day date 40, it's a modern day date with a champagne dial. À la poubelle.
All right. Do you have to hop onto the next show?
Yeah, we're gonna do. Yeah. So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna hop out of this. Because I don't know how to link, but the next one is basically coming up. So I'm gonna get out of this, and we're just gonna go. It's on YouTube, I guess. Whatever. It's on YouTube. It's on our channel. So just go to the new live stream on the channel, and we're gonna be talking about Artisan de Genève. Are you familiar with Artisan de Genève?
Are they the customization shop?
Yeah.
Yeah, just I know a little bit about them. That like just basically that they've done that and they've been involved in a couple lawsuits and that's it. But all right, let's hop onto that one and then we'll talk about it there.
You got it. Okay. Thank you everybody for joining, and we'll see.